All right.
All right.
My bedtime app on my phone just went off saying, go to bed now in order to get a full 7 hours of sleep. Well, bedtime app, we are just getting started.
Seems like as good a time as any to start the show, I think.
Right. So, have you heard the results are in on the podcast?
Ooh, no. What?
We have an Aaron, a listener here, dedicated fan, and I quote, just started listening to the show, and it's actually pretty good.
Hey, I'll take it.
Heyo, look at us.
That's right. Is that Aaron, our friend?
No, that's it's an Aaron by the name of Matthew. I'm declaring right now that all of our listeners will be called Aarons from here on out.
The errands. All right.
The errands.
Running some errands.
Right.
That doesn't work. That doesn't fit even a little bit. Not even in like a gross way either. It's just fundamentally doesn't fit. So this week I'm recording in a dark closet. Usually it's just a regular closet.
Lights
but
out.
The light burned out. So I am just a 26-year-old man sitting in a dark closet right now.
Oh, can we get pictures of that?
They'll be dark.
That's fine. I just want to see that glowing computer light.
Okay, we can arrange.
Dark is my preference. I always turn all the lights out. I have some, they're not LEDs, but some kind of lights behind my desk for a little bit of back glow. Gets the vibe set right. So that's
okay. A little Carpe Noctem action.
Sure.
For sure, dude.
Did you have a long weekend?
Did you? Why are you asking me so many god questions?
Yeah, I had an extra long weekend. We're on a 4-day work schedule, so I had Friday off naturally, and then hashtag not my president day on Monday. It's good stuff. Mm-hmm. I enjoyed it.
I saw you Instagram the living shit out of some breakfast you made.
Oh yeah, man.
It looks scrumptious. You are some eggs, some pancakes, and the lot.
Well, I tried your egg recipe with the orange juice and the cinnamon in the
pancake.
Or sorry,
pancake,
the pancake.
not eggs.
Yeah.
I
would not recommend.
That sounds like some nasty eggs.
Right.
Although maybe they're great. I don't know.
I'll try it out, or maybe one of.
But yeah, a little. Next time you do that pancake recipe, add a little touch of vanilla. A little touch.
Vanilla extract? Are you talking?
Yes.
Okay.
Just add a little bit.
A little bit. All right.
Make them come alive. They'll make them sing, Tom. It'll be a symphony.
Some more that I need to buy. Thanks, Pat.
Okay. Yes. That's quite. All right. F*** off. No, I had a short weekend. I had just Saturday off because as I've talked about ad nauseum, I think that's how you use the phrase. Been just waiting for Jesse to get to Ohio, and I picked up a couple extra Sunday shifts. So I got 2 6-day weeks coming up. I'm in the middle of the first one. And just trying to work past the time, might as well get paid, I guess. Had a payday this week. Things are all right. I'm grooving in the working mode. But I had Saturday off, and it was beautiful in Cleveland. Actually, it's been 60s since like last Friday. It's been crazy nice. So I went and walked around the Lakeview Cemetery, which is near where I live in Cleveland Heights. It's a large, pretty lot, I guess. I forget what famous people are buried there, but I couldn't find them anyway, so it's not that good of an anecdote, I suppose. But it was nice to get out, and it was a nice day of laundry and dishes and walking around and grocery shopping and doing some adult type stuff, you know.
Right on. That can be good sometimes.
I guess. I mean, your premise is pretty flawed, I think, mostly on that. Grocery shopping isn't good all the time.
Yeah, it's, man, we've been running into some pretty expensive grocery trips.
How so?
I don't know. Like, I don't really know what to do about it. You know, we don't need meat.
Too little vanilla extract. That stuff goes a long way.
We're not buying meat, and I think that's supposed to, like, cut down the cost, but we're still spending, God, $250 to $300 every time we go, which is...
What? Do you shop 4 times a year? What the f***?
maybe every 2 weeks with a couple things here and there in between.
Wow.
I
That was
know.
my best Owen Wilson.
Yeah, it's brutal, but hey, you gotta eat, unfortunately.
Yes. Man, we are just zinging them off to start this episode. This is a rapid fire pace. Yeah.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Yeah.
Eating.
Peanut butter. Why is it so expensive? It really is, though. Coffee and peanut butter. If I could live without coffee and peanut butter, that'd be swell.
Yeah.
Which I suppose I could pretty easily. But we wanted to keep this episode. We've been on a positivity tick lately, although it's probably hard to tell based on the subject matter of a few of our past episodes. We're going to go back, and this is dun, 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 Tom and Pat's top five most happy moments of their lives.
That was great.
Yeah, if you could add in a better effect than what I just tried to do, echo-wise.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
No.
I just assume you have an effect for everything. Hey, can you fix that up in post, bro?
Why not?
Can you make my takes on peanut butter at the grocery store sound real hot and steamy when they drop?
Yeah, so we have a list of around 5 things each. I don't know.
Yeah, it got me thinking about some stuff, and I feel pretty good. I'll try to wane mine down a little, but I try to divide it into like different eras, like groups of friends I've had throughout the years, I guess, and there's different sections, kind of. So we'll break it down as we go. How did you want to handle this? How did you want to proceed?
Well, yours are in no specific order, correct?
They can become quickly in an order.
Yeah, so none of mine are really quite in order either. I think there's maybe one that I'll say for the end, but the rest are just whatever. So I don't know if you want to go each just one at a time and discuss.
Well, I'll say this, and it kind of describes why we wanted to do this episode in a nutshell. So I went to Ohio University, which everyone who goes there just has the best time. It is just, there's something about the town and the school. I've never met anyone that went there that just didn't just blow their socks away. Whatever. Socks off, socks on or off, regardless. Really, no judgment there on the sock front. But kind of when you graduate, they try to tell you to justify how like sad it feels to leave. Right. This isn't the end. It's just a cool chapter that was only going to last 4 years to begin with. So I guess we wanted to do this episode because this podcast is us kind of a little bit of turmoil in our mid-20s. Take a look back, and maybe we can find some nuggets to move forward and maybe develop a personal playbook, if you will, about what we find enjoyment in and how to create new good vibes in the future. The future. That's a dumb word to abbreviate.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah. There's only so many, high school's only 4 years. Your childhood is finite. Everybody grows up always, so I think that's something we just wanted to take a look back. And one of the things we both had on our list was DC adventures with us and the third co-host, Zach, who couldn't make it this week, but he'll be on soon.
I don't know why that's so funny to me, man.
I say it every week. Well, there was the weekend where he met. Well, there was the summer where he and I were both going through pretty similar, pretty rough breakups, and we wrote a lot of sad music. And then he met some French girl online, and I didn't know what his plans were exactly when we went that first time, but they became quite clear as soon as we arrived.
I think the French girl was the second time.
Okay, so there were 3 or 4 visits that summer.
I don't know. I don't think it was. I think we might have met them at Mad Rose. We met them at Mad Rose when we were dancing.
Summer of 2012?
Yeah.
Okay. So the first visit was what then?
The first visit, you and Zach came down with Adam, who is the fourth member of our high school band.
That's right.
And we recorded like 7 of our old songs.
Oh, yeah, all of our old music. Just for fun, right?
2 days.
Right. Something absurd.
Yeah. I ended up working through the whole weekend, so I was pulling like 22-hour days to like work, hang out with you guys, take a quick nap, repeat for 3 days.
You know, people say work hard, play hard, but nobody gives you the crucial third piece of advice, which is sleep hard.
Right.
You gotta sleep hard.
Yeah, so that was the first trip, and then I feel like you guys came back.
You were facing like 24-ounce monsters hourly, I think. But then again, you've done that on normal days, so I really don't know what your caffeine intake is or where it's supposed to be.
It was really bad
since you stopped working at a coffee shop.
Yes, it has, but it was bad. Like 2 monsters a day and just drinking coffee heavily for 8 hours during a shift.
Right. You ever see that show Trailer Park Boys?
No.
Well, one of the ongoing gags is it's like a Canadian comedic program about these guys that live in a trailer park, obviously. But one of them always has just a cocktail in a glass, like a rum and Coke or something. And whether he's driving or whatever, kind of the ongoing gag is he just has a mixed drink in his hand. And to me, that summer, you just had a caffeinated beverage just on deck.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty routine for like 4 or 5 years of my life.
Well, you know, I remember going to the corner gas station store. Oh, God, that was a brutal description of this place we went to. But you just came back with this grin on your face, and all you had in the bag was like a microwavable mini pizza and 2 monsters or something. You were just like, it sounds like grocery shopping has changed dramatically for you over the past few years.
Yeah.
She was like, hey, I'm set for like until further notice. I'm going to be awake and I'm going to have pizza.
If I wasn't dating my wonderful girlfriend, I would be much worse off. For sure. Probably gas station pizza for dinner every night.
Nothing wrong with it. It was frozen, so it could have been bought at a different place also.
Right.
In your defense, I'm just building you up, man.
Thanks, man.
Well, it was like 110 that first. Was it the first visit?
No, it was the second one. It was 106 the whole weekend with like 90% humidity.
Ugh.
And we just slept the whole weekend. Was pretty much your second visit there.
Well, I'm trying to think if there were any defining features other than just recording that first weekend. I think we did a little sightseeing, maybe.
Yeah. I don't know if we want to back up a little bit for anyone who doesn't know our entire life story. We grew up in Erie, Pennsylvania, and we were in a band from like 8th grade all the way through high school. For college, I moved to DC, and Pat, my wonderful co-host, and Zach, our third co-host.
Yes, couldn't make it this week, but we'll be soon.
They drove down with our friend Adam to visit me in DC, and that happened 3 times over the summer. And
only with Adam once.
Only with Adam once. The second time we were going to record new music, it was just, oh God, deadly hot all weekend. We didn't do anything. They came back a third time. We recorded.
It was just a sweaty experience.
It was awful. It was so
bad.
bad.
Was that the time Zach met the French girl at the bar?
I think the third time you guys were in, because that time we recorded like 4 new songs, but we also went out. We went dancing. I think both nights you were in town. That's when they met. I remember meeting up for brunch. Like, we just had like a really lot of really good times just over that one summer. You guys drove, was it 450 miles each way?
Yeah, I mean, Zach didn't, from Erie to DC, it's like 6 or 7, but Zach had a little Yaris that was stick, and I didn't know how to drive that at the time. I also don't know how to drive stick now. I don't know why I phrased it as such. But so he had to drive the whole way both ways. And I would fall asleep, and he would take pictures of me while driving. It was just like, haha, you were asleep. Like a pretty bad prank, I guess. Just like, haha, totally got a picture of you sleeping. It's like,
fully
you
clothed,
got me again, foiled again. But what was weird is that we both included, the times we actually saw each other, it was few and far between. And Zach and I were both going through pretty brutal breakups that summer, and it was oppressively hot. And that was the summer we talked about her before, that downstairs neighbor came up and was just kind of hanging out.
Oh, yeah.
Near people. In a very nice way, but it was kind of like, I could picture a creepy guy acting this way, but I've never quite seen a woman behave in this manner, I suppose.
Equality, man. I guess,
Yeah, I don't know if I would use that vignette to get after gender equality, but so I think your heart's in the right place.
that was bad.
But yeah, so the one weekend Zach met, I won't use her name because there's no reason to, but a woman who was in the States, not a citizen, and they were quite fond of each other, if I do recall. And I remember we had to record a few tracks just without Zach, just because he was just not in the same room as us for
nowhere to be found.
And good for him. Young man exploring himself and getting over some stuff. It was an emotional summer.
I think that obviously the times we had were awesome. Like, it was great seeing you guys, but also, we were in this band for a long time. We had songs.
And this was mostly just for our own memory, right? Is the reason we wanted to do all this.
Right. So a lot of these songs we wrote when we were like between the ages of 15 and 18. At this point, I think we're like 22, 23. And we just crushed them out in hours. And we finally had these songs written that no one's ever heard that we were able to hear ourselves. And there were like guitar parts I didn't know were there, lyrics I never knew after this whole time. And we had some friends who supported us, specifically Aaron. But our band
shout out to Aaron.
Our band never got very much love, so it was fun to like put these songs out and have friends be like, "Man, you guys were actually pretty good." Like, I just feel like that's a theme of art that we make. It's actually pretty good.
Like the overall reception of like the core group of friends that we let or heard them were just, just.
Right.
What do you know? I was pretty busy making fun of your name, and yeah, that's all right. That's all right. That's all right.
Right.
What I liked about it was, Zach and I were going through breakups that summer, but these were breakup songs from when he was much younger.
Yeah.
From one relationship of his in particular, and it was weird because we were still young, and we were still young and full of emotion, but when we visited that summer, because like college age though. Like, some of the teen angst that was just like dripping off these tracks was palpable. It was just like, Zach, were you all right at the time, man? Like, good.
Well,
God.
His lyrics aged very well. For someone as young as he was, he should not have been that good at writing.
It was definitely a reflection of the time period for sure. Kind of that
Take It Back Sunday era.
Sure, yeah, that's kind of in that ballpark. I remember, he's a short. Usually, throughout the time I've known him, it's been 80 or 90% short blonde hair with a little cowlick up front.
Right.
But for that like 2-year period, it was shoulder length black hair.
Oh my God, yeah, that's right.
Dirty Edinburgh, not necessarily sober a lot of the time, but
right.
Nor was I that summer anyhow.
Hey, you want to know some irony behind that visit though?
Yes.
So the first one, do you remember the first thing that we did when you guys came into town the first day? Like with Adam?
No.
Went to Northside Social.
Ooh, yeah.
And Karen was playing. Oh, I'm going to beep out her last name. Karen. Sorry.
Just beep the whole thing out, man. There's no need.
Yeah. So we that lady was that girl was there.
She was more of a lady than a girl.
Right.
She was very talented. I remember that was the first thing that struck me about the set was it's kind of like in that movie High Fidelity when Jack Black and his other snobby record store friend are like, I think I hate this song. He's like, yeah, but now I kind of love it after they see this one solo act woman playing it. Just like, yeah, this song rules.
Right.
Like we were just mesmerized.
Well, yeah, so that girl I ended up dating later on that year, which ended up being my biggest heartbreak to date.
Ooh.
So you guys were there coming over their heartbreaks, introducing me to my future heartbreak. And I never really thought about that until just now.
Well, it's interesting that we're talking about this being one of our happier moments. And I think that speaks a lot to, we've been buds for a while. I think that was just happened to be a time where we were most recently together, all in the same place, maybe.
Yeah.
Because everything we've been saying has just been gut-wrenching, every aspect. Even down to the weather was unpleasant. You know what I mean? Just like swampy DC bullshit, you could see the like haze coming off the sidewalks. I felt like my leg hairs were getting singed off.
Right.
But no, we had fun dancing and having a time up on U Street and whatnot. Whatnot.
Yeah, man, that was definitely some of the best memories that I'll have forever. We were all supposed to get a house together in DC and live together.
We
forever.
often toyed with the idea of getting a house together somewhere, and then that became living in the same city, and neither of those things ever even came close to coming true.
Right,
a house together would have been nice. Did we plan with that weekend?
We talked about it. There were definitely some discussions of 3 single men, 1 bed type situation. Maybe, I don't know.
Interesting. I like that. Like, yeah, man, why not? F it.
Right.
What's that scene in Family Guy where he's like, the kids are drunk at the lemonade sale, and he's like, I love you, man. Let's just get on our bikes and just go, man. Start a fucking business. I feel like that was the mindset. Let's just get on our bikes and just go.
That's awesome.
Alas, we returned home, and that did not happen.
I still have dreams about it though, man. I would like us to all be is in the same neighborhood. Too much to ask? I don't know.
I like where your head's at.
Right?
You'll probably have to come a little further east once you're done with your adventure.
Oh no, the mountains are so beautiful.
Yeah, that's true.
All right, so do you want to move on from our shared happy memory to the next here?
Yeah, I'll let you have the floor.
Okay.
Talking about the good stuff here. Talking about the good stuff.
Okay, so again, this is going to plummet right into some depressing stuff, but right. All right, so I lived on the east side of Erie for my whole life, and around age 14, my mother went through a second divorce with a stepfather who was just not a good dude. But what ended up happening during that whole thing is he refused to sign the divorce papers, and in Pennsylvania you have to like wait it out for 2 years until it's just like an official thing. So we were living in our house, and my stepdad moved in with his mom next door. We shared a yard, and then his sister lived across the street from her, and then his other sister lived next door from her. So I was like surrounded by this dude's family. But after the 2 years was up, we sold the house. We moved to the other side of town, and oh God, just I remember the day like moving into that house and just being. I felt like the biggest weight off of my back, not having to ever see him again, be in that house again, be around his family. I felt like it was like a whole new life starting right there.
Sure.
And all my friends, like with the exception of you and Zach, lived on the west side of town.
East.
So, sorry. Yeah. No. Like all.
Yeah, Lawrence Park's on. Oh, you're not talking about Zach and me?
No, I said everyone except you and Zach.
Oh.
lived on the west side or like closer to the center, I guess. I don't know. So yeah, man, it was great. It was freedom. It was so liberating.
Turning
it was
over
just,
a new leaf.
Man, it was great. And my mom actually just moved out of that house like 2 weeks ago.
To go where?
She moved to Florida with my grandma.
Huh. Good for her.
Yeah, so she's renting out the house to her ex-boyfriend, which is super weird. But yeah, man.
That
so
is a little
when I go
strange.
back, yeah. So when I go back home, if I usually stay with my dad anyway, but it'll be a one-parent situation, which is also relieves a little bit of stress trying to fit in so much into a day and a half, pretty much. But yeah, anyway, that was that will always be one of the best.
Sure. Yeah, right around. This one's a little earlier for me. My first one dating back. So when I was growing up, I was a pretty shy kid. In preschool, when we would have little concert productions,
Oh man,
I was the kid crying on stage and stuff. I don't know how old you are when you're in preschool, but I would always hide behind my mom's leg and just look down at the floor. I would never talk to anybody. But
wow,
yeah, that was me for like the first several years of my life, and I'm talking like first several, like literally from birth till kindergarten.
Okay,
okay, a very quiet young man. Always at my mom's hip. But then in second grade, so I met Zach in first grade, but he wasn't in my second grade class. We looped, which is pretty rare, I think, but there was an opening for a third grade teacher, and the district had the idea, because there was for whatever reason, Mrs. Fox, or Miss Fox at the time, Mrs. Timon now, had a lot of just good kids, like Jordan and Kelsey Kuhn, and Steve Buckland, Brittany Tombaugh, Mackenzie Miller, Alice Stanton. Good crew, really. Joey Finati, I think. So she just took us, and we just, kind of like a Mr. Feeney situation in Boy Meets World, which had the same teacher for another year. And it was just a good,
gotcha.
You know how like at certain times in life, you just have a good collection of people trying to accomplish a goal, and everyone kind of knows their role, and you get good at it, and we put on like variety hour plays each of those years. And I don't know if you remember the weatherman Bill Schubert.
No.
In Erie. He had like a sherbet up, like Shuby sherbet up at near the mall at some ice cream place. Anyway, he was a really funny, colorful guy. And I did an impression of him in the third grade version, which was entitled Foxtails. Mrs. Jester, the art teacher, made a nice little sign to hang in our, was it gymatorium? Is that what you would call it? Not a
Gymatorium.
Not a gymatorium, but a gymatorium.
Sure.
And the impression killed. And Amanda, I can only think of her married name right now. Amanda and I, one of the girls in my class had a pretty funny Thanksgiving sketch by third grade standards, I think. And because she was pretty into Amanda Please from the All That show at the time.
Oh my god!
So she had a kind of a twisted sense of humor as is, and I just remember, getting the audience laughing pretty good. And that was a good 2 years, man. I mean, nobody in the class really was a troublemaker too hard, and we just grooved. And I came out of my shell, I think it's safe to say, during those 2 years, and we a lot of good times, a lot of good stuff. Some core elementary school memories there. So that was a turning point for like realizing, because, and it's still there with me sometimes, like when I would take classes in college, even though I thought I knew the right answer, I would never be the guy that would ever raise his hand. I would just wait till someone would answer and then note if I had it right in my head, like, I should have said something instead of wasting 10 minutes for everyone to, anyway. So I'm still kind of shy in some respects, I guess, but that was a nice thing. That was a nice early memory, for sure.
Yeah, man. I went to like a small K through 12 Catholic school, and there were some kids in my class of 15 people that I liked, but I felt like all my like friends were in the other class, and I never had that. I never really had like the class to just kind of groove with. I was always super resentful that I wasn't in the other one. So that's cool. That's good.
It was, and it was pre-puberty. There was nothing to, you know what I mean? It was just good, man. You know, there was nothing weird about it. Because then you get into 4th and 5th, and, you know, that's when kind of the beginning of the end. You know what I'm saying? So this was just pure, innocent, jokey fun. It was good, man. And then I'm trying to look at the list now. As we get a little older, a little wiser, looking at, oh, yeah. And then, you know, I'm going to include this as a number 2, I think, but family camping trips. Can we say that?
Sure.
We would go to Twin Lakes, kind of in central Pennsylvania. It was a weird name because there's only one lake. I think they dammed off the one or something, but it made no sense to me. But you know, so kind of like every few years we'd have enough to go to Stone Harbor, and find the smallest house in Stone Harbor, New Jersey, and do a beach thing. But mostly it was camping every year, and with my cousins and some of my dad's and mom's old family friends, and you know, learning to fish and build fires and playing marathon wiffle ball games and just, yeah, you know, kind of that pre-puberty, good, just adventure-y, fun, sweaty wiffle ball, sun's out, go for it. You know what I mean? Just grip it and rip it type summer fun. So I'm going to say that's 1 and 2 for me.
Okay.
Just good in school and out of school, just kind of, you know, learning about yourself, coming up, feeling good, you know, learning what you can and can't do, making some mistakes along the way, but we're all trying our hardest, you know. Anyway, so those are a quick and easy 2 family vacations with, you know, extended family and friends, and then that class with Miss Fox was really something special.
Yeah, I feel like I have almost no memories of really anything before 3rd grade. A couple here and there, but nothing substantial. But keeping with your, I guess, vacation for our UK listeners holiday.
Oh, yes.
I think we've only had like 1 listener ever from the UK, but we'll include them.
What's up, Aaron?
So
I did not even come close to understanding what the you meant when you were like, this Aaron goes by the name of Matthew. I looked at the notes and I was like, oh, his name is Matthew. I just didn't understand what you were trying to go for, which I am so sorry for. But I get it.
I'm starting a thing, man. I need you to back me on
I am
this.
doing nothing to help it pick up steam, but I will, from now on, now that I understand it. Now I get it.
So yeah, in keeping with the vacations, my family was never much of a vacationing family, mostly for, you know, budget constraints. So every vacation that I went on was with like someone else's family, usually like a girlfriend's or whatever. And I feel like I've been on so many vacations. Like, I don't want to talk down on it, but like, it's people just trying to cram so much into every day. Like, we got to wake up at 6 o'clock and like, we need to be out the door by 6:30. So you need to make sure you're in, you know, and it's just like that kind of stuff. And it's so just going all the time. That's not really my personality when I'm out of my house. Like, I work a lot when I'm here, but when I'm like away, I just kind of want to chill out, you know? So after Megan finished grad school, her mom sent us to Ocracoke Island off of North Carolina for like 8 days. And
say the name again.
So it's just Ocracoke.
That's a fun fucking name.
It is, so like the only way to get there is like an hour ferry ride.
Whoa.
It's on the Barrier Islands.
Separation Nation, dude.
It's this tiny little island, super like, it's just not like, I mean, it is a touristy place, but it doesn't seem like it. It's all like really small beach houses. The whole, I think like AARP named it like one of the top 10 places to go on vacation because the whole city just like shuts down at 9:30.
Okay.
But so we drove there. It was like a 7-hour drive or something.
I did not know AARP made those types of lists, I will admit.
Right.
Go on.
So we parked the car in the driveway, and we didn't get back in it until we were leaving 8 days later.
That sounds quite lovely.
We brought our bikes. We had this house all to ourselves. It was really interesting. The bedrooms in the living room were separated by the kitchen and the dining room with like a little deck area. So it was like two separate houses. It was like really old, kind of like beachy, cottagey. And we had like some money saved up to buy, like we had like fresh scallops every night. We bought like steak, like we ate so well. We made friends with one of the locals who opened a coffee shop like the week before we got there. So we hung out there for a while, and oh man, we
like
didn't
an alternative version of your life for a few days, and you get comfy with certain little things.
Right. So we kind of like developed this routine over a couple of days, and we would ride to the beach. I fell in love with this book that I found at our beach house. It was called A Dream in Polar Fog. It was so good that I bought it when I got home. Like I finished the whole thing, but like we would just ride to the beach, stay as long as we wanted to. Basically, we had our phones off for the whole week.
That sounds quite freeing, actually.
You know what? Okay, yeah. So you have, I have another one I'm gonna add to the list. I'll save it for later. But that was definitely like one of the best weeks of my life. So relaxing. It was, I didn't see my girlfriend much while she was in school. I was working a lot at that time too, and especially when it came down to finals, she was just busy. So it was great, like reconnecting and just.
It sounds like the movie This Is 40, where they go on vacation and smoke weed for the first time in like 10 years, and they're like, "Oh, I love you. Why are we ever fighting?" And then as soon as they get home, the kids are like trying to jam Legos in each other's eye sockets, and they're like, "Oh, like you just get like 3 days together in a quiet atmosphere, and it's like, what the hell? Why was I ever upset?" And it's just kind of, well, that's nice, because grad school, real world stuff, it comes heavy, man. But it sounds like a real peaceful jaunt. Excursion.
Yeah. It was good, man. And actually, I'll make it quick. I don't know why I didn't think of this
better,
sooner.
Dude. Your turn's been going on forever.
I know.
You are abusing the forum.
So my friends in Virginia put on a music festival every year called the Untitled Music Festival. The first year it started out was like actually the first time I ever sang on a stage. There were like maybe 100 people there. But over 5 years, it like really developed and really grew. A lot of just shitty things happened in between years 2 and 4. But this last year, the 5th year, oh my God, it was amazing. Like all these people that I knew, a bunch of people I didn't know. They were people that I only knew from that place, that I only saw there like once a year. And it was just 3 days of music and food. No one had their cell phones on because like there was no service there. Camping in tents, and it was just awesome. So I'm gonna add that, kind of a similar vibe, but it was a lot of
disconnecting and kind of. I'm not going to say finding your chi because I don't totally understand it, what that means exactly. I've only can contextually assume. But kind of get it back to even, right? Recharge.
Yeah. Something like that.
I think I saw a picture of you on Facebook where you're just like screaming into a mic with your band at the festival, just like in your fucking element, just tearing it up, gripping it. I don't want to use gripping it and ripping it a second time in a half-hour period, but I almost did, and now I don't mind it now that I think about it. But you were gripping it and ripping it at the same time. And you look in the picture, you look pretty filled with joy, my brother.
Oh, thanks, man. Yeah, it was, I love being on a stage. I miss singing a lot.
Sometimes you just got to grip it and rip it, dude.
Sometimes, man.
Not always. But every once in a while.
So
I just got to grip it.
And rip it.
Yeah, sorry. You were about to come up with like a really thoughtful thing.
No, I was just gonna say
grip it and rip it one more time, and it totally derailed the momentum of everything. No,
I was just gonna say that I've overstayed my welcome. So your turn.
No, don't you? I was kidding.
Were you though?
Now I want you to keep talking. I'm. What do they say? Life is an act. I don't know. That wasn't. I tried to make up something on the fly there. That was. You know what they say? Everyone's faking it all the time. Life is a prison. Who am I? I'm gonna leave the sports stuff out of it, although just because I don't know. You know, I had a couple sports things from high school on here because it was a big part of my life for a long time. But I don't know if I want it to count as one of my 5.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? But I will say this.
Well, I just added a 6, so you can...
Oh, God. Wait, I'm already at 3. Well, let's do this. Let's just keep it along the timeline, my timeline that I'm forming here. Okay, so 3rd grade, family trips as a kid, puberty hits.
Ooh.
Boom, boom, boom. Not all at once, mind you. Just kind of comes in little spurts, you know what I'm saying?
Oh,
Very
I know.
confusing. And all my friends in my neighborhood were 2 years older than me, so I was hearing stories I couldn't even place a real-world version of.
Right.
I was just like, huh. Yeah, totally. I hate when fucking what? Yeah, I'd go home just like trying to... Because that wasn't... You didn't have like a smartphone to Google stuff with, so I was just like... I don't really want to Google that on the family computer. I think that would probably be not... But, you know, Dave Hall, my down-the-street neighbor, had a goatee at age, like, maybe 7. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
he had a full beard at like 16. I mean...
Yeah, it was legit. He hit it... He gripped it and ripped it as far as his body gripping and ripping puberty. But I was a few years behind a couple of those guys. But, you know, we started making videos at a young age, I guess. We were called the LCC crew. Well, no, that's kind of redundant because it was the Lake Cliff crew. And, you know, our little thing was the LCC Productions or whatever. But, you know, we made probably 10 videos in YouTube's early years. We uploaded them, and our neighborhood thought they were funny. They didn't go very far or anything.
Dude, they were hilarious.
I appreciate you saying that. They were... It was good, and it was a good thing, and it was a lot of creativity with that group. You know, we would get bored and just... So we didn't have enough wood for a tree house one time, so we just built a chair in a tree. We just nailed enough wood into a tree near Dave's fire pit where one person could sit. And, you know, just kind of go with what we had at the time. But we had a bunch of junk bikes in the neighborhood one summer, so we brought them all to the park. You know, Lawrence Park staffs its parks in the summer with, like, supervision. And as a kid, that was fun because you could play wiffle ball and go down and shoot hoops and, you know, 5 days a week, 8 hours a day, you know, so. But when we were a little older, we would bring everyone in the neighborhood brought their junk bikes, and we wanted to make a lowrider that was functioning. So it had like a banana seat and those motorcycle handlebars,
Right.
But it also had like a child's back wheel, like a 12-inch back wheel and like a street bike's front wheel. We called it Ghetto Bike. It probably had 17 or 18 different bike parts involved. And,
Nothing wrong with that.
At one point, Joe McShane brought it up to one of my friend's dad's shops and welded a wheelie bar onto it.
Oh my God.
Like those old Razor scooters used to come
Right.
with. Like if you really wanted to trick it out, you got a wheelie bar or whatever. Which, oh God, what a time to be alive in the early 2000s. But no, it was good. You know, we spray painted it red, white, and blue for Lawrence Park's bike parade for 4th of July, which is a great holiday in Lawrence Park.
Yeah.
They do it really well. Actually, they're the only non-city. They might be one of the like 2 or 3, you know, townships or cities in Erie County to do fireworks anymore, but that's neither here nor there, I suppose. But it's a good vibe for the whole township. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and log is this 4? I'm going to log number 4 as growing up a little bit now. A lot of creativity with my neighborhood friends. Just kind of making things, whether they're videos or this or that. And we had a lot of fun. We weren't quite drinking yet on the tail end of those years. Well, we're not there yet. It was still pretty innocent, still pretty good. And I liked it. There's something to it. You know, you just go down the street every day and your friends are waiting at the park and you figure out what to do. I don't know. It was nice.
Yeah, man. I remember a couple months ago reaching out to Facebook and the LCC crew, trying to find the videos because there was that chess video that you and Dave did. I just thought was so funny, and it was so well done with that. Oh God, it was good.
Well, there was half of them were me just facing Kenny and stuff.
Right. Yeah, I remember the extreme sports, like extreme ping pong and stuff.
Yeah.
But also Dave had that one. It was like the Labyrinth or something.
Well, Dave's big breakout hit when he first got the camera, because that was kind of when Mac was getting big, or was Apple.
Yeah.
He got one of the first versions of the slick looking Mac laptops. Kind of in the post. What were those iMac computers that looked like misshapen neon?
The G3s
the schools would get. Sure. Anyway, he got a laptop and a camera, and he came out with a movie called Man vs. Foot, or no, A Man and His Foot.
Oh, I remember that.
And he just filmed one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I've always been jealous of his creativity, but it's just him. There's a shot of him. There's like kind of epic orchestra music in the background, royalty free or whatever. And there's a shot of him looking lovingly at his foot, and then there's just the same shot of his foot. Then it turns back, and he's like crying. And then it goes back to his foot, which is like really hairy because he hit puberty hard, and he's kind of playing off that a little bit. And then it goes back, and you just see him fall to the ground with like a handful of pills, and they just, the prescription bottle spills out. And it was only like a minute, 2 minutes of him having this like a middle-aged divorcee, overpilled break, I don't know. There's something so funny about it. It was so that was kind of what spawned it all. It got a little traction on YouTube, at least in our neighborhood anyway, and we just kept making them, and people liked them, and it was good.
I was a big fan of them, man. I thought they were all pretty funny. And even like, God, I think it might have just been Dave. He did like the Labyrinth, where it was like a wide angle shot of like his stairs, the closet, a couch, and he like walked.
Yeah, that was back when we were like learning
how to video edit,
different editing tricks, and we were just getting better.
Yeah,
I wasn't involved with that one. It was Zach Byers and Brendan Polson, Zach's older brother.
Oh, okay.
And they were, that was before YouTube would take your video down or delete the audio if you had a hit song in it or whatever. So we would just put our favorite music in it, and, but it was 3 minutes of them chasing each other through, Zach steals Brendan's chips or something.
Oh, yeah.
And Zach would pop out of the closet and run away, and Brendan would be like appear at the top of the stairs, even though he had gone into the bathroom or something.
Right, yeah. It was just, clever editing where, you'd walk into the closet and
nothing too fancy, but this was at the beginning of, it's like those types of jokes and stuff. It's not like they hadn't been made before, but in terms of like on a neighborhood to neighborhood level, now kids have to get creative in 6 seconds on. I guess Vine doesn't exist anymore, but you know what I mean.
R.I.P.
There was still some. You could go 3 minutes with a gag like that in 2002. Right. I'm talking about it like it's the first movie ever made, like The Great Train Robbery or whatever the fuck that movie was.
Awful.
Or like
total
that
garbage.
tin can that goes into the fake cheese moon's eye or whatever. Like back when film was in its heyday, But no, it was a lot of fun, man. I still keep in touch with a lot of those guys, and they were the soccer playing guy. I know I didn't want to talk about sports, but I was friends with them for a long time. I mean, obviously, I met you in high school or junior high, so. But we went on to win in Dave and Corey and Zach's senior year, Zach Byers, a D10 title for the school and soccer, and it felt good, man. Just years of playing soccer and goofing around and having nothing to do on summer days. And good, I don't know, just neighborhood stuff. Like you go home, and if Joe's home, he's going to come knock on the door and come in. It's just kind of simple. It's kind of fun to know that stuff's there. Like there were some times had.
Yeah, I wish I had more of that as a kid growing up, I guess. All my friends.
Well, it sounds like you had like a period that wasn't gonna provide that type of stuff, and then once you made the move, that opened up the floodgates where you started to find a taste in music, and you started to learn more about yourself at a rapid pace.
Yeah, definitely.
I saw Seeing Blink live was on your list. That was probably the culmination of years of worshiping them and playing drums and
right. Yeah, I mean,
because you had a drum set in that West Side house that you mentioned moving to.
Yeah, and the East Side house. I got my first drum set.
Oh yeah, okay.
I mean, I bought it when I was like 12 after 2 years of mowing lawns. But yeah, man. So I I got into Blink-182 when I was in like 6th grade, and I think by the time I'm trying to remember the timeline. I think they broke up within a couple years of discovering them, and I didn't really like go hard with them until like 8th grade maybe. And yeah, I think around that time they were getting ready to break up, so I thought I would never get to see them in my life and feel like I just totally missed out.
I remember that fear for sure.
And then like at the Grammys, they announced that they were going to be performing again. And I remember my mom was like, some guy that she wasn't dating, but they were kind of like hanging out, us kids would call it. And he was like over for the first time. And I'm just screaming in the basement, like running around in circles around my coffee table, like, Blink-182, I'm going to see Blink-182. And like, it wasn't like for another 4 years until I actually saw them. But dude, that like all my friends like bought the lawn tickets for like $15 and just got drunk, and I paid like $120 for the pit tickets, and I was down there by myself. And like we said in the Blank episode, what was that, episode 13? I had the whole pit to myself. I don't know why, but I just like was just jumping and flailing around the entire time. And I just seeing Travis Barker's drum solo from like
where he hangs upside down.
He was like hanging upside down right over my head. Like I could feel his sweat dropping on me. And like, he's the reason that I'm a musician. So he was like my idol. And that was just, it was something I thought I would never experience. And I remember being sore for like 3 days after that show. I've never done anything so physically intense in my life. And
I don't think if those who are listening to this and know there's like there's a regular version of you, and then there's Sweaty Pit Tom who has been dancing pure joy dancing for 4 hours, which is like it's like seeing a dog that just got to run a long way. You know what I mean? Like, you're taking me to the woods and I get to run for the next hour? Like, yeah. Like, you know what I mean? It's just like, it's like, I can picture being like your fake stepdad dropping you off at the concert, like, go have yourself a good time, kid. Like handing you $20 and you're just like, oh, right. And you just run into the pit like, let's fucking dance. Like, and again, this is something I like about you a lot, is that it's not drug or alcohol assisted in any way. It's just pure. And I'm going to say it again. You were just gripping it and ripping it. And just making it fucking happen. Just pure, just happiness dripping off you. But the thing is, Tom, do you think you'll get to see him again?
Well, the thing is, Pat, do I... this hurts me to say this.
Do you want to?
Do I want to?
Because it is a different band now. I guess I should have explained what I meant. Do you think you'll get to see them with Tom again?
No.
You know what they should do is invite Tom back, keep Skiba, and play the whole Boxcar Plus 44 canon. And just make a show with everything on the table. Because with those 4 pieces, they could cover it all, I think.
I don't think I'll ever see... Well, I don't know if you can call it the original lineup, but Blink with Mark, Tom, and Travis.
Fair enough. Well, we don't want to do another Blink episode.
I do, but but maybe later on.
Part 2.
Maybe episode 30.
Ooh.
But yeah, anyway, Blink-182.
Every 15, whether we like it or not, just another... No, Tom, Dude Ranch is better than you think it is. F*** you, no. All right, so do you mind if I pop another?
Oh, do it.
And spin it, see how the vibes feel. I think we're in high school now, right?
Yeah,
and a lot of this is a story I think I like telling, but depending on the reaction I get, the Academy high school crew that wasn't you and Zach, because we went to a high school that wasn't near where we grew up. It was in the city,
right?
Anyway, we met a whole new group of friends, and we used to party at one of our friends' dad's funeral home.
Well, when you say
that he owned.
you mean
Not you.
you're not right.
That wasn't exactly a crowd you rolled with. But you know, Jake, Doug, in that that crew, I suppose. But yeah, we would go, and they had a little living area on top and below where the viewings would take place, and we would play beer pong in a funeral home for a while, just like a few years there, and it was some of the most fun. You know, because it was a safe space. You know, we were all such close friends that it wasn't like I don't know. There was something I don't know how to explain it. Familiar about it, I guess. You know, everyone knew what Flip Cup teams they were on, and nobody ever got too. It wasn't like no one was. I don't know. I feel like there are some nasty stories out there where underage drinking turns wrong when people didn't have an understanding of how much they could intake and things like that. But we were all, you know, pretty. I don't know. There was something just safe about. I don't know. It just felt.
It wasn't like Ragers with a ton of like different people. It was always
no.
like
It was never more than 15
crowd.
people. Maybe never more than a dozen. And we were just there to just enjoy each other's company. You know, no one was gonna. I don't know. It was just something. It was we had fun. We were there to have fun, and we had fun. And then I added this. I'm lumping this in just with that same crew. And you know, Abby. Well, bleep the names out. I guess,
yeah.
Her mom had a beach place out in Harbor Creek that we went to after graduation, and I just remember Jake. I don't know. He was just. I don't know if he skinny dipped or what, and I don't know if I want you to bleep the name, but there was something just high schooly dumb about it that was kind of freeing. Like it was also kind of sad because we all knew we were going to college at the end of the summer, but we were like on top of the world, you know. Like Jake was only wearing his, you know, graduation cap that he had thrown in the air a few hours earlier. You know what I mean? Just like I'm the king of the world, you know. There was something so young, dumb, and you know, like we would just had nothing else on the mind other than this is, you know, what's the saying where you don't know the good times when they're happening or whatever, you know.
Right. Yeah,
but that was some pretty Varsity Bluesy type movie, TV show bullshit where you know, oh, did you get invited to, you know, blah blah, you know. But
it's astonishing to me how different our high school experiences were.
Well, I think we play things differently. I think, you know, I think you kept it a little closer to the vest. I mean, you were content with, you usually had a girlfriend, which I did not. And then the rest of your time was music. And then you had me and Zach and a handful of other pals, but am I getting this even close to right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I feel like
I mean,
you knew what you liked and you had those things.
Yeah, I mean, pretty much. I mean, I guess I was never really invited to the parties, but you know, I did.
Yeah,
drink
I guess that's true, but I feel like it was a different crew altogether. I think mostly there was one we knew you might not have enjoyed it. Well, I'm just saying this now because we're talking about it, but I don't know. I don't know did you ever hang out with Jake and Doug as much as like? I mean, they were around in the music scene in Erie a little bit, I guess.
I feel like, you know, I did because our band played with their band a bit. Jake actually filled in for you a lot on bass when you weren't there.
Well, I was still trying to do, you know, I spread myself pretty thin, I guess you could probably, that's probably an understatement, but you know, if I had a baseball game or a show, I'd go pitch. You know what I mean?
Right.
I liked baseball more than music shows. And eventually I left the band or you guys kicked me out or whatever, which was totally warranted. But yeah, I'm trying to. I lost my train of thought there for a second.
No, I mean, it wasn't really my crowd. Like if people are going over to like Cameron's or Seth's house, you know, I'd be around for that, but not so much that crew. And it's funny because I actually went to middle school with Kaylin, from like maybe second grade.
Oh, interesting. See, I keep forgetting you knew some of these people from. Yeah, I forgot she's a St. Jameser.
Right, and Kaylin's sister was my sister's best friend. So, like, I remember going to the funeral home, like, as, middle schoolers.
Part of the original crew.
Right. And then like knowing that that's like the party space was like super funny to me. It was like, wow, I remember, being there as like an 8-year-old.
Well, I remember Kaylin's dad looked at Jacob once, and Jacob was a little toasty at that time. And he was just like, "Oh, you Alpha and Omega, you all the way down." I was like,
What?
That's the coolest shit I've ever heard. I don't understand it, but anyway, it was good vibes. No judgment, just kind of having fun with having high school fun and that kind of stuff.
Sure.
But I guess looking back, well, I don't know if I regret trying to do everything. I don't know. You try to kind of find yourself in high school maybe, but I regret missing the shows. But I feel I didn't mind having a hand in everything.
Right.
In hindsight, I don't think. I don't know.
Can't blame me for that.
I'm trying to sort this out kind of on the fly here. But I don't think I would have done it differently. I just do regret leaving you guys, hanging you out to dry on a couple shows. More than a couple, a few.
Most at one point.
Yeah, the string of them. Well, once baseball season rolled around,
right,
I wasn't going to miss my senior baseball season, so
right.
It became clear. And I didn't have the balls to be like, hey, you guys should. I would just always try to like, yeah, well, if we did it then, but only then, I could make it.
Yeah.
Well, there was also that string of shows we had at that gay bar, like when we were first starting, like that year.
Right, yeah.
So it was right around that time where it just kind of was like, I don't know, there was definitely a separation of sorts for the band. And you brought in Krasinski, is that his name?
Yeah.
And I'll never forget, bleep the name, I guess, but I thought it was him when we played Fort LaBeouf in soccer in middle school. He just kicked me in the chest with like his cleated foot. I was like, what the was that? He just kind of looked like, couldn't believe he had done it either. Just kind of like this weird ref wasn't looking cleats to the rib cage. Like, all right,
the normal high school.
Have I wronged
stuff.
you in some way? But it was only fitting, perhaps, that he took my spot on the on stage.
That was funny, dude. Because I remember I knew him. I forget it. He played in a band that we played with. And when I met him, I remember him calling me and being like, "Hey man, like I'm sorry to be weird, but like there's not like a bunch of like drugs and alcohol in this band, right? Because if there is, like I'm really not comfortable with this." And then he ended up being the biggest druggie like years later. That he was out of control.
Yeah, well, I remember when Zach was at Edinburgh, they had a different band called Tyrannic Fusion.
Right.
And they were kind of a party band back when electronic-y, screamy, post-Taking Back Sunday era goofiness was still going on.
Right, yeah.
They tapped into something. I remember their shows being well-attended.
For some reason, yeah, it was some weird stuff.
It was. I don't know what they were tapping into, but it was energy-filled, to their credit.
It was 2008. Attack was big, and or 2009, 2010, and just crazy auto tune on the singing vocals and breakdowns.
Yeah. Goofy, like a weird fusion. It was like I don't know what it was. A fusion of like the tools that might be used more in the hip hop industry mixed with kind of screamy emo. It was just bizarre.
Oh yeah, it was awful.
And every song for like a 3-year period had a breakdown, no matter what the genre was. Or, you know what I mean? Or that's what it felt like. Just something to make the what's that MC Lars joke song? And in the middle, he's like, "Give me something the kids will cry for." I think the title of that song is Hot Topic is Not Punk Rock or something like that.
Oh my God, that's awesome.
What a time to be alive.
Oh,
anyway,
man.
I think that brings us to the college years. Talk about Zach being in Edinburgh and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, so I guess my last one, unless I think of anything else, was I had this whole thing with Mike Rowe, who...
Oh, yeah.
I remember staying a long weekend at Zach's house with you, and we just watched Dirty Jobs for like what felt like 72 hours straight.
That must have been Zach, I think.
I was, big fan of the show, and
because you guys had the side project. I think when I was still playing baseball, you guys branched off and made The Truce, which is a really fun acoustic side project.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
You guys spent a lot of time together.
Yeah.
Which I was jealous of, I have to say.
Oh, Pat. Well,
I know. But I brought it on myself.
But yeah, so I've loved Mike Rowe for a while, and Discovery Channel dropped Dirty Jobs, and he was starting a new show. And I think just like by chance, I saw something on Facebook where he was like, hey, I'm drunk at this bar and just wrote a song with all these strangers. I'm going to sing it, and I want listeners to record their own versions of it. So I thought, like, that would be kind of cool, right? I mean, it was kind of like a folky song. I figured no one would do it the way that I wanted to.
So you were peak art school recording. Like, you're at the top of your game at this point. You were perfecting the skill of recording music at this point, right?
Yeah, I think I was already done with school, so I actually had time to record stuff.
Oh, yeah.
But, I went to school for recording, so I slept on it for a really long time, and I ended up spending like 3 hours one day. I recorded this whole like pop punk song. It was like a minute and a half, and then I decided to like make this little like music video where I'm like kind of like lip syncing to everything, and I was like playing guitar, but it was just for the video, and I didn't have my drum set up because I was in an apartment, so I was like air drumming. And I sent it off. It was like a week past the deadline. And they said, if your video is picked, it's going to air on CNN as the ending credits of one of the shows. And I didn't hear anything back. So there's like three different things that go on. I'll try to get through because the last one was like most significant, I guess. So after like a month, I posted on his wall. I was like, you're never going to see this, but I sent you this music video. I think it's probably different than what most people are going to do. I worked really hard on it, and I'm a big fan of yours, and I just, I hope that you saw it. And like 10 minutes later, he responded. He was like, I saw it. I loved it. It was my favorite one. It's definitely going to air on CNN.
Yeah.
And like, thousands of people, because he posted on it, saw the post, and a lot of people are like, oh, this dude sucks. He's just yelling, blah, blah, blah. Like,
yeah. I saw those comments. I was like, you dudes. Like,
dude, I took screenshots.
For what it was a really good pop punk version of whatever. Someone's gotta do it.
Right. So, like, I took screenshots of every negative comment. These people just blasting me. I thought it was hilarious.
Comment sections are incredible to me, and maybe we'll do an episode on comment sections.
Oh man, I've gone viral twice now. I've had some pretty nasty shit said about me on Reddit.
What was the other one?
The T-shirt. It was like front page of Reddit for like 36 hours or something.
Which one again?
It was the "You're a Idiot" shirt.
Oh, were you trolling the grammar police or what?
Yeah.
Oh God.
We'll go to that. We'll get to there. But yeah. So anyway, like the video aired on CNN, like prime time. It was like a Monday at 5:00 or something. Super cool.
Nice.
And then one of my friends, it was like a friend's boyfriend, was part of this like downhill, what do you call it? Like soapbox racing league. And he told me that Mike was going to be filming an episode with his league on like this certain day. So I had on my schedule to go, but I had a job interview that day. And I thought that I can do both, but I'm like sitting in 95 South traffic, and it just like became clear I couldn't do both. So I called the person I was supposed to be interviewing with. I was like, look, I'm not going to be there. I'm sorry. I don't even want this job. I don't know where I was going. Like, I just like totally went off in this voicemail. I was like, I'm not going to be there. I've got something to do. Like, I'm going to go meet Mike Rowe. Like,
right.
So I drove like 2 hours up past Baltimore, and I was there through like the whole filming. I'm like in the episode in the background. They had to blur my shirt because I was wearing a Legend of Zelda shirt. The producer got pissed that it was like a licensed Nintendo shirt.
Interesting, yeah.
He was real pissed because I didn't get the memo to not wear anything with logos on it. But at the end of the filming, he was getting back into his like black SUV passenger seat, of course. And I was like, "Hey, Mike, can I talk to you for a second?" And he looked at me and was like, "Holy shit, are you Tom Kelly?" And I like just about burst into tears. Like, there's no way that it was so crazy. He like ran over and he shook my hand. He was like, Mike, come over here. It was like the producer of the show. He's like, "This is Tom Kelly, the guy with that punk rock like version of the song." And he's like, "No shit." And like, it was like, I felt like I was the celebrity, you know?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
He was like, the crew was like, "Oh my God, yeah, that was so neat." And so it was like,
man, that sounds.
It was super cool. And he was like, "So like, why are you here? Like, how did you end up, at this thing?" And I told him, and he asked what I was like doing with my life. And I like, I just walked out on a job like 2 days before. I was like, "Man, I'm unemployed right now." And I pointed to his sound guy. I was like, "I actually want his job. Like, that's what I want to be doing." And so if you have any space, I'll work for you tomorrow. Like, I'll start,
Yeah.
But I ended up asking if I could use him as a job reference. And he like gave me his personal email address, and we talked back and forth a bit. And one day I was like, "Hey, there's this job in Sweden, in Stockholm, as a content producer for Spotify." And I asked if he can write me a letter of recommendation. And he agreed. But then he also posted it publicly on Facebook, like this letter of recommendation along with the video. And it was like this glowing review about me. And, I felt like I was just fucking around in my room, making a pop punk song like I always do, And like,
yeah,
it got like a little more than 500,000 views on the song. And a lot of people there were some people from Sweden. They're like, "I speak for all of Sweden and we don't want him here. He's a horrible musician." But dude, I was just...
Dude. Aren't the Swedes keepers of peace?
Yeah, you think so. But like both when I met him and after the review, I was just like crying uncontrollably because, I worked hard at my music and I'm not like overly talented at anything that I do. I don't think like pretty average, maybe a little above average, but like not worthy of the praise that I felt like I was getting from him. And I have never felt so good in my life. And he straight up told me, he's like, "If you move to LA, I'll get you a job. Like, I'll shop you around to production companies. I'll
You considered it for a second, didn't you?
Yeah, but like, I only considered it because I feel like I'd be an idiot not to, but I didn't want to live in like a big city anymore because I was trying to get out of DC, because I hated the pace of everything. So I ended up not really taking him up on that. And at some point, he just kind of stopped responding to my emails because I feel like I have a tendency to speak really informally, which I think has gotten me into some pretty good situations in the past, but maybe it was just too buddy right out of the gate. I don't know.
Sure. Well, you weren't in LA, right? I mean,
right. And he was just like, I can't really do anything unless you're actually physically here. Like, you can apply all you want, but I can tell you that no production company in LA is even going to consider your application unless you have an LA address on it. So I considered faking it, but
sure.
It didn't work out. I'm happy where I'm at now, but like, it just, yeah, that feeling that I had just makes
you ever have a what could have been thing if you would have just gone to LA?
No.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
You sure?
Yeah, totally, man.
All right. The traffic to me would be, I don't know.
Well, plus, like, I already don't want to be working for like other people at this point. I want to do, I'm trying to do this podcast network, and I'm happy, man. I love Denver.
Well, that's good.
I'm really happy. So I don't regret it, but I never want to forget that feeling because, that was a product of me working hard. So I guess I'm just gonna keep trying to chase that feeling again. And I'll only get there by, working my ass off and applying myself and creating. So, someone as esteemed as him saw something in me, and that's just kind of.
Do you think you needed that justification from an exterior thing, like for you,
the validation,
to keep the drive going?
Yeah, dude. I mean,
fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, I'm sure it would go a hell of a long way. You know what I mean? Just like, thanks, Mike Rowe. You know what I mean? Like, all right, all right. Let's grip it and rip it.
So that's probably for right now. I included things on my list that I could think of off the top of my head because I figured, when you think of happiest moments, the things that come to you first are probably them.
Yeah.
So there's been some moments that have definitely been great, but those are my, I think that's 6. And you can close it out on whatever you got left here.
Yeah, it's just college was fun. It could be summed up. It's another friend group who I grew to become dearly close with, and the guy I was randomly assigned to be a roommate with turned out to be one of my best friends. I was going to the orientation lunch the day before we moved in, and I saw a dude that was just a head above everyone else, like he was 6'8", I happened to see his head because he was so tall. Tall Chris, you've met him.
Yeah, Conan O'Brien.
Yeah, that was he dressed up as him for Halloween. The Halloween you were there, which for the listeners who don't know, Halloween is OU does a lot of things well, but their Halloween weekend is one of them for sure. And so I went and sat next to him, and his mom was there. My parents had already done that lunch at a different event earlier in the year when I was still college searching. So my parents weren't at the lunch, so I had to go kind of sit, new day at the cafeteria type vibe. And Chris is a shy, tall man, but his mom was like, "Oh, Chris, your friend," like lame mom stuff. Like, you guys can, anyway. So my randomly assigned roommate, Danny, on day 1, we got along. And Chris was just there because he was tall, and we knew him. I was like, "Hey, I know Danny. I know this guy, Chris. You want to meet up with him?" And we were standing at like the Bobcat Bash, they called it, for the freshman's first week, where you go and it's a very RA vibe, pizza and soda, popcorn machines and stuff like that. Anyway, these 2 girls came walking by, Carrie and Sarah. Sarah ended up leaving school about a year later. For another reason I'll get to. Well, so the thing was, we didn't think she could get pregnant. Like, her doctor didn't think it was possible. And then she did. So her parents her family's kind of religious. And she was like, well, if I'm ever going to do it, I might as well do it because I'm not sure I can do this. You know what I mean? So it's a miracle kind of thing. So she ended up leaving school and starting a family. She's real happy. Anyway, so it was originally the Fab Five. But anyway, so Sarah and Carrie were like, hey, you're tall. And Chris was like, yeah. Am and we were like, do you want to get out of here? And we went to a party, and I ended up living with Danny and then Chris my sophomore year, and then me, Danny, Chris, and Carrie all lived together at 24 Smith Street in college for our junior and senior years. So kind of in the first 2 days of school, I had met some of my lifelong friends, which was just crazy stroke of luck. And we had some good times, man. It was good. It was all that is good. I'm not gonna. We could fill an episode with OU stories, which I won't go into now, but there's a pattern, I think, of people just being nice. I don't know. I'm a lucky guy, I guess, and I don't know. I'm trying to find the nugget for my set. I don't know. I just enjoy being around the people I've mentioned, I guess.
Well, I only spent 1 weekend at OU, and that could easily be one of the happier moments of my life as well. So I imagine 4 years there was probably pretty awesome.
Yeah, it really fucking was, man. Just good people. There was never, none of them worked for the paper. So if I had any stress at the student paper, which I worked at all the time, or I was either at class or at the paper. And then when I got home, they didn't want to talk about it, neither did I, so we just had fun,
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, so do you want to analyze each other's set of stories and try to find the secret to our happiness?
Yeah. I mean, yours. Do you want me to take a stab at yours?
I'll go first.
Okay.
I'll go first talking about yours.
Okay.
It seemed like when you're in a new place, when you separate from an area in which you cannot do good things, and you stay true to what you enjoy and you're creating, and you do what you are passionate about, it sounds like good things happen. Whether it's Arlington, where you're not too happy, or whether it's the East Side home, turning a new leaf, learning from those experiences, and continuing to create and do music and do stuff that makes you happy, or trying new things and being adventurous, you're an adventurous guy. So it seems like Colorado's kind of moving to the west side for you, but a bigger west side on a national scale, I guess. But
Right.
You know what I'm trying to say. Like, I feel like you know the tools that are required to help make this thing work, and you got a job, so that's a hell of a step.
Yeah.
So all signs are pointing to a good allotment of time coming up for you.
Yeah, man. I think
New places are tough, granted, but I mean,
Yeah.
It's just a new chapter. That's all.
looking at yours, every single one of them has to do with being with friends. So do you have like a Cleveland group yet?
No, actually, I have been, and I had a pretty good New Mexico group going there too towards the end. But no, I've been dumping all of my resources financially and emotionally into this distance stuff with Jess.
Yeah. And,
Any writing has gone into trying to make a funny letter, or I write to her a lot and stuff, and flying down there and thinking of good, trying not to repeat myself in texts and trying to be funny, and I've squeezed a few Erie visits and stuff, so I'm not like just sitting here twiddling my thumbs, but
right.
but no, I haven't really allowed Cleveland to be good. There was a period where I was sleeping on my couch and taking the bus to work, and I've told all the stories. It's like, man, my apartment sucks, and then I got a bed, and I'm like, my apartment's all right. Sleeping on a bed, interesting. But
do you
So no.
Do you think that you'll try if the plan is either if the plan is to go to Cincinnati, or you think that
No, yeah, I think I'm just gonna get to Cincinnati. I don't think the plan was to get comfy here.
Right.
Unless Jess came. You know what I mean?
So, but do you think that, like, even in Cincinnati, say, like, the two of you are living together, finally distance is over, do you think that having that like, solid core group of friends is going to be as important as it was through college and high school when you were, like, mostly single, I guess?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
So I already have a few friends from college that live in Cincinnati that I consider close friends. I actually went back to Athens with one of the couples that's been helping Jesse look for apartments. Corey and Ryan, they're nice, very nice people. And kid Nick Roby was a sports writer at the paper, and one of the group texts I do is with Nick and some of the seniors I graduated with. And so there's a good core there. Oh, and Tall Chris just moved there. And Carrie lives in Dayton,
man.
which is 40 minutes north. So yeah, there's a good, it would be good. Currently Cleveland has none of the factors. The thing is, I'm very close to my family in Erie, and I was able to drive home and be there for my dad when my grandma passed, and the timing has been interesting. I don't regret coming to Cleveland because the Cavs, as soon as I got here, the Cavs won the championship. The Indians went to the World Series, and I was home to be there for my family when my grandma died. And I could talk about dedicating myself to distance all I want, but it's not been a dull year. You know what I mean?
Right.
I've either been in Erie or flying to Albuquerque or covering crazy Cleveland sports stuff, or, I've gotten to see more of Kevin and Mark, who are some childhood friends that I didn't get to see too much. Kevin was probably the one that visited me the most in Albuquerque. Well, and I said he came twice. You know what I mean? That's how hard it was.
Right.
It's expensive to fly from Albuquerque to anywhere, let alone across the country. But so Kevin's a good pal. So, it'll be a good fresh start in Cincinnati. Tall Chris is a huge get. In terms of, like, you think of, like, the people you want, if you're building a roster of friends from different eras and stuff, like, ooh, like, so, like, if you were playing a game where you have to make the best all-time roster, but certain players you have this amount of budget and certain players cost this much, and, you can't just buy 5 of the best guys.
Right.
Like, ooh, a Corey Rye combo with a tall Chris laying it up the center. You know what I mean? It's just like, that's not bad. That's not bad. You know what I mean? And, whoa, Nick pulling his weight on the side there. You know what I mean? It's just like, Cincinnati was not, I think on a past podcast we were talking about, you asked, are you going to let that happen? Like Jesse moved to Cincy, but that was always kind of a very viable option.
Okay.
Just to get her out of New Mexico and just close, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then just getting down there. Because I don't really care where I live or really what I do, to be honest. I think we've talked about that. But anyway, the question is, would we stay there if we like it? I don't know if Zach's probably pretty cozy up in St. Paul. They got a house. And I want you to enjoy Denver for what it is. So the next 5 years are a question mark for sure. It's interesting, man. The more you learn about yourself, and I don't know if Cincinnati will be the answer, but I'm excited to.
It doesn't have to be right now.
No, not at all. I'm excited to. Part of me wishes I could have given Cleveland a chance, but part of me is also tired of making new groups of friends.
Yeah.
I don't know how. Did it in high school, did it in college, did it in New Mexico, and I don't know, man. There's something about asking people what their favorite movies are that I don't. You know what I mean? It's just.
Oh yeah, I don't.
Not that there aren't nice people. I'm sure I'll meet if I have kids later in life. I'll be friends with some of their parents and. I'm not closed-minded in that sense, but in terms of I'm kind of tired of moving to new cities. You know what I mean?
Right.
So, like, I think I would be in Cincinnati for like a minute if I did, when I do go.
Yeah.
So, I just want to like not have to change my address for a while or all that shit, you know what I mean, that you have to call and change your bills. I just want to get into a routine, I think, and just not like wait to die or anything, but just like chill for a second. Go on some adventures with Jesse. We want to travel a little, and I want to get my passport and use it. That's something I wanted to do for a long time, but I haven't had the money or the stability to do it. So we'll see. There's stuff ahead. This has just been kind of a weird year detour-wise, and here I am talking your ear off. You got me monologuing, you son of a. You want to move on to the music?
Well, let's just. I guess what we can take away from this, just judging by your happiest moments, you need to keep just like being a friendly dude. I need to keep being secluded and just trying to make art. Right? Is that
not secluded? You know what we should do though is some of those stories that stuck was just any time we spend with Zach and the three of us.
Yeah.
So we should try to get together once a year and make an earnest effort. I'm glad we're doing the podcast, of course, because we talk every week, which is more than we could have said a couple months ago.
Right.
But yeah, I think we're positioning ourselves to have nice next chapters. You know what I mean? Because that's kind of the goal, is to not always look back. Like I said at the beginning of the podcast, everyone who graduates from OU fears that they're only ever just going to look back and be like, man, that was a fun 4 years. You know what I mean? And just never be able to realize that they're also having a good time now.
Right.
So, to me, it sounds like you and I are setting ourselves up to at least, entertain the possibility that, youth isn't necessarily wasted on the young, and this is a next step that could be very fruitful,
Yeah.
Hell, you moved out west. That's at least a life experience that you can notch. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
Even at its core, you moved that far away. That's something when you look back on your life, you can't just ignore the fact that what you're doing occurred, So that's kind of cool. It's a splash in the bucket, or what is that the saying? I don't know. You're splashing whatever the water's in.
But yeah, man. Yeah, for sure. Do you want to go take it down a step further and do highlight of the week, then songs, and then call it a night?
Yeah, let's do it. Yeah, I'm going to give Jesse a ring here in a few minutes, so Let's knock this. I almost said knock this bee out, but that sounds like a Ray Rice type situation, and that's not what I would have meant.
Jesus Christ.
I meant like let's do the dang thing. So on the weather was nice, and I went to that cemetery, and I was listening to music, and I ran part of the way, and I haven't ran in forever. So I ordered some running shoes the other day, and
Oh, nice.
I think I might,
Wow.
So, I've been on a bad streak of... The past couple weeks have been pretty, distance is just getting so... I don't even want to say boring. It's just like, it's just almost over, and I've had a few glasses of wine extra in the past couple weeks, so it's like I don't really want to waste my time taking that many extra years off my life, but just before Jesse even gets here, what I mean? Yeah. So it was kind of nice to get out in the weather and run a little bit, and I got some shoes to do it properly because Vans and Sambas are flat-footed and they don't offer much support. I'm kind of getting a little older where I don't want to look totally lame, like I'm wearing New Balance wide sets, but I do want a little support. You know what I'm saying,
dude? I'm wearing REI hiking boots like on the regular now because they're extra wide, great arch support. They're so ugly, but man, they are the comfiest shoes I've ever owned.
Yeah, what's that meme where? And I think it's from Curb Your Enthusiasm where the wife's like, "Well, I'm going to get fat," and he's like, "Well, I'm going to wear whatever the fuck I want." It's just like he puts on a sun hat that covers his whole body and like. A golf, I don't know, just something absurd, and just like, that's an extreme version of it, but
right.
Yeah, I got to transfer out of the flat-footed shoes here. So
definitely.
So my highlight is I ran for the first time in since I was playing indoor soccer in Albuquerque, which was a few months ago.
Nice, man. That's good.
Yeah.
I guess I had a 4-day weekend, which I could use more of those.
Yeah, man.
I worked, I have to I don't have to, but I get the podcast out by noon on Friday. So I was up early getting that done. But Megan and I went for our first real hike, which, it was more like walking up a driveway through the mountain, but actually saw the Rockies from inside them on Friday and got God, I forced her to bring her camera. And we got some really nice pictures. So that was awesome. I cleaned my bike for the first time in years, and we went out for a 9 or 10 mile ride on Saturday or Sunday. The weather was super nice. I went out.
I'm surprised you didn't mention anything about biking in your happiest moments.
There's some good ones. Some pretty good B-listers probably, but
okay. All right.
But yeah, man, I really feel like I took advantage of this weekend, and it was just great. It was a lot of hanging out. We watched a couple good movies, and it was just good, man. It was really good. I spent the $3 to rent a movie on iTunes, and bought some chips and ice cream and shit. And it was great. It was a great weekend with my girl and my dog. Went outside.
There you go.
It was. I need more of that. I need to stop being little lazy bones on the weekend. Get outside.
Little lazy bones. Little puppy. Little lazy puppy.
Song of the week.
Yeah, shout out to Julie who reached out to us on Twitter.
Her name's Aaron.
Yeah, the Julie Aaron. the girl Aaron. She reached out to us on Twitter and asked what our thoughts were a cover of a Hamilton soundtrack cover that We the Kings did. The song is The Story of Tonight. And I told her we would talk about it. And I have this to say. If you are a fan of both the musical Hamilton as well as the band We the Kings, it makes total sense what that cover turned out to sound like and be. Those are my thoughts, Julie. I have nothing against musicals. Book of Mormon, I listen to that soundtrack all the time. I have yet to really dig into Hamilton all the way through. I've never seen it, so it's a little different to really appreciate what the what the soundtrack can be. Is We the Kings Shake, 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 Shake It? Is that them?
No, that's like, oh God.
Something Station?
Like, yeah. Metro Station?
Either way. It's that, there's like 4 bands that sound pretty similar. Bubblegum, punk pop, or whatever. It was fine for what it was. It was exactly what you would expect. And so those are my thoughts. It's not super my cup of tea, I guess. It's a little clean. It's a little poppy for my taste. And again, I haven't really come to appreciate Hamilton in the way that I should, but I also haven't seen it, so it's hard for me to just listen and know. Anyways, but thank you, Julie, for reaching out. And, Aaron. This is a confusing rule, Tom. I like it, but I'm also just it's a tough one.
Her name's Julie, but she's an Aaron.
Yes.
I don't get what's so hard to, grasp about that.
Because okay, well, maybe it'll grow on. Maybe, well, it'll. Just give me some time.
Hey, I'm not trying to force it either. I don't know.
But I'm trying to say thanks to the person, and now I don't know what to say because I don't want to.
No, I gave it a once over. I feel like the last time I listened to We the Kings, maybe it was just exclusively for this song. I don't remember them having so many electronic sounds in it.
Okay.
So I think it was just different than what I remember, and I also don't know anything about Hamilton, story or anything. But I will listen again tomorrow, try to find things to appreciate, and maybe find out what Hamilton's all about. I don't know.
It's a very good musical. Won a bunch of Tonys. I just haven't seen it, so it's hard for me to. It's just anyway. So I listened to I forget the name of the band already. It was
Sharptooth.
Sharptooth, female singer, very aggressive riffs, metal,
hardcore,
good metal for what it is. What was it? What's the genre technically?
It's hardcore.
Hardcore, not exactly metal.
Or like melodic hardcore. Yeah.
We knew going in that's not my cup of tea, but I liked the energy. It was, I could picture somebody just like needing to hear that and then choosing it and being glad it existed.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Somebody who enjoyed that genre more than I did. I thought it was a good version of what it was, and I was at work like, all right. I'm not a big Scream guy, but I liked it.
I wrote an album review actually for them yesterday because I really love the album. I love the message. It covers a lot of very relevant topics right now. If you go to elemental.fm /editorial, I think it's like the most recent thing in there.
Nice plug.
Well, you know what? No, don't even read. What I wrote doesn't fucking matter. You just need to listen to Sharptooth. Because they have an awful lot to say, things that need to be said, things that definitely need to be heard. So they're awesome. And I listened to why is the name escaping me? Help me out here.
Japan Droids.
Yeah, Japan Droids. So it was different than what I thought it was going to be based on a friend who likes them a lot. It was more like, it reminded me a little bit of Gaslight Anthem, who I really love.
Yeah.
So the song was really good, but the thing that I like about them, your recommendation the most, was I never really look at, similar artists, but there were a couple that I kind of recognized, and I told you that, I've known of Japan Droids for a while, but never actually listened, and I used that opportunity to download like every band in the similar artists section, and man, there are some good bands that I discovered last week, and one of them is actually my recommendation for this week. So I think that was probably my favorite recommendation of yours yet.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
'Cause, I don't think any of them have stuck with you, so.
Yeah, so I found Boston Manor out of them. I didn't really know what song to give you because I don't feel like any of their songs are like just perfect, but there's a song called Laika, which I love just because it was like it was the first bitch in space, and I don't mean that as a derogatory term for a woman. It was a female dog that the Russians launched into space to see the effects of microgravity and the effects of being blast off in a rocket to see if you can survive it. She was never intended to survive. Basically, she just starved in lower Earth orbit on Sputnik 2. But anyway, they have a song called Laika, and the last line of the chorus is just like basically saying like, I feel as lonely as Laika right now, just like waiting to die. And oof, man, it's good. And the chorus is catchy. It has like this. Okay. Yeah, it's good.
It's a hell of a subject matter for a song. I like it. Right. I like it. I like that stuff. Right. No, I'm not being a jerk. I'm excited to check it out.
Yeah, it's good. I think if you give the whole album a try, you'll find some songs that I think you'll like. Maybe not all of them, but
yeah,
really good. I love the dude's voice. Phenomenal voice.
Okay. So your recommendation got me thinking of like how I hope I'm not a one-trick pony. Like I like the Dixie Chicks and I like Alexis on Fire. And I like Coheed and Cambria and things like that. So a little bit of metal, a little bit of country here and there.
Sure.
Not a lot. But there's one song that has been my jam this past week. It is My Church by Maren Morris. It is definitely there's nothing too heavy-hitting lyrically. You know, it's not a thinker. It's just a girl in a car listening to her favorite tunes on the radio, and she finds religion in that, not necessarily by going to church. So it's just a country jam that's not too twangy in an annoying sense, but definitely easy listening. A girl on a guitar, very good voice, good, talented young woman. So I'm picking that for you, just as also to say I'm not just going to keep shoving rock and roll down your throat.
All right, yeah, no, I'm excited, especially. I love Dixie Chicks, man.
Yeah, they are. In terms of bringing the thunder, they are the bringers of thunder.
Yeah. And man, they do not like George Bush.
No, they did not. They got like disowned. Like their careers were almost, you know what I mean? People were like, what? No.
By all those conservative snowflakes, am I right?
Well, we're not a politics podcast, so I think that's a time to shut her down. But yeah.
Sorry.
That was pretty cool to see a country artist be like, wait, he's an idiot, right? It's like, well. What was that Aziz Ansari bit from SNL like 2 weeks ago where he's like, man, and I was like, for sure that George W. Bush dude was a douche, but now, just like, or he used a different word that was funnier. Oh yeah, he was like, I thought for sure that dude was a dildo. I didn't even know what was coming. Anyway, time to wrap her up. I'm gonna give Jesse a ring.
All right.
Interesting taking a trip down memory lane as always. And usually we stay on after the call or after the show when we talk, but I'm going to call Jesse and I'll text you later.
Yeah, dude, it's 11:15, so I'm about ready for bed. So no
All right, man. Get some Z's. See ya. Thanks for chiming in and participating with us, gang. And we look forward to talking to you throughout the week, and we'll see you again same time, same place.
Right. At _Reminiscent FM on Twitter. You can find us there, and we'll talk back.
All righty.
All right, man. I'll talk to you later on. Love you too, man. Bye.
All right, bye.
Ba 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 ba.